my lovely co-host, Nicole. Welcome, Nicole. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm super excited about today's show. This is something that I'm really passionate about and excited about learning more. So,
Good. I'm glad.
how about
So,
you?
I'm your host, Dr. Shyam, again with my lovely co-host, Nicole, and this is the Dad Bod Brain Coaching Show. And so today we're going to talk about exercise effects on brain function, which is not super common knowledge. I mean, the lay person kind of understands that exercise improves your mood and it's good for stress relief and stuff like that. But what we're going to discuss today is precise neurological change that occurs under conditions of exercise, and also interestingly different forms of exercise. So we're going to talk about stuff like moderate continuous exercise versus HIIT training, and also resistance training. And a lot of the information that people are aware of in this fitness space are peripheral effects, right? Muscle building, fat burning, that kind of stuff. But people aren't super knowledgeable about different forms of training on brain function and exercise in general in terms of neurological change. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So here's some of my information here on this first slide. So please visit my website, www.dadbodbraincoaching.com. My Instagram at ShyamGotFitAt40. Please join my Facebook group. It's at Dadbod Brain Coaching, and there's my personal Facebook link there too. And you can always email me, drshyamhealthcoach@gmail.com. Okay, so just some background on me, just as a refresher, if this is your first time watching. So I have bachelor's degrees in both engineering and psychology. My master's and Ph.D. is in psychology, specifically in the fields of cognition and neuroscience. I'm also a certified life coach, a certified health coach, and a certified personal trainer. So my practice is bringing together mind, body, and brain to create a situation of overall holistic health, right? So mind, body, and spirit. Okay, so one of the reasons I got into this business was I've undergone a substantial personal transformation myself, physically and mentally, I would say. So this is just one of my transformation pictures, I suppose. And I've told this to people before. As soon as I started seeing physical changes in myself, it wasn't just physical. What I thought was more important was things mentally for me started getting better. Things like my focus, my concentration, my clarity of thinking, my patience, my emotional stability, and that kind of stuff. So those are also things that are really, really important as we look at this umbrella of holistic overall wellness. And so those are things that I coach as well. And so, when I started seeing these changes in myself, I'm like, I think I can help other people. And that's one of the reasons why I started this business. So that's one. Here's another one. So this one I think was taken a couple days ago. And, on the left here, it was pretty unhealthy. I was making really unhealthy choices. And so I just decided to take control of my health and never look back. Right. So joined a group fitness class and just never looked back. And now I'm on this mission to help other people. And I've focused on wanting to help dads specifically because I think dads go through kind of unique challenges, perhaps compared to other people. And I think that dads can relate to each other, and guys in general can relate to each other. And so I'll talk to clients and they'll tell me stuff, what's going on with their kids, and I'll be like, okay, like I get it. Okay, you got to do A, B, C, and D, and let's figure out how we can adjust your lifestyle to get what you want, but still fulfill your obligation to your kids and your family and your spouse and stuff like that. Okay, so that's me. Here's one of my clients. So this is one of my star clients, so to speak. So this is Mike and his lovely wife, and so this is some of the change that he's gone through since he's been working with me. And I will tell you that, when I talk to guys, a lot of the things I hear a lot of fear, right? So there's a lot of fear about, I don't have enough time. I don't have time to go to the gym. I don't want to pay for meal service plans. I don't have time to, meal prep all this stuff and, whatever. And so what I tell people is, I'm going to work with what you got. Let's work with what you can do. So this is a theme, right?
Mhm.
Don't focus on what you can't do. What is it that you can do given your circumstance? Can you walk? Can you pace in your living room? Okay, then let's walk in your living room. Can you drink water? Right? My point is, you're going to focus on what you can do. And I point this out because Mike here, in large part, never went to a gym. He started to go to a gym now, and he's training at the gym more and more. But, when he started out, he was just working out at home. And I got clients that have never stepped foot into a gym. I'll show you another picture later. Okay, so that's just kind of a setup there. So today I think part of talking about exercise and brain function is an important part of this is touching on stress. And so, as I mentioned at the start, we all kind of recognize that exercise is a good stress reliever. You agree, Nicole? You use exercise to control stress?
Hell yes, I do.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about why that is. So, why exercise is a good reliever of stress and a good moderator of stress response. And then we'll get into specifically exercise and neurological changes that occur under conditions of exercise. And like I mentioned, different types of exercise also. Okay, so stress is one of those things it's a unique emotion because it depends on the person. Stress depends on how you define stress. So, for instance, Nicole, I have no right to tell you what should and shouldn't stress you out. Just like you don't have a right to tell me what should and should not stress me out.
Mhm.
If you find something stressful, then that is stressful for you. I got no business being like, you shouldn't find that stressful, because everybody's different.
Mm.
So, for instance, things that I find stressful, you might find enjoyable.
Mhm.
And things that you find stressful, I might like those things. Here's a great example: riding roller coasters. I am not a heights person.
Me either.
I do not go on roller coasters. I have no problem riding inside of an airplane, but there is no way I'm jumping out of it. I'm
Mhm.
not going bungee jumping. I'm not doing
Mhm.
any of that stuff. But there are people that actively seek these activities out and do them on purpose.
Mhm.
Are you one of those or not?
No, I'm married to one.
Oh,
I'm like
yeah,
you.
right. Me
I'm
too.
definitely afraid
It's-
of heights, and I'm not a roller coaster person. I'll go on them to make my partner happy. I might jump out of an airplane to make him happy, but I
Right.
would never I would never voluntarily seek those
But
things
he
out.
loves those things,
He
right? He
loves it.
loves those things,
Loves it.
right? So that's a great
Yeah.
example. Here's another really good example: public speaking, right? Many people are terrified of public speaking. And you probably know this, if you have people list their biggest fears in life,
Mhm.
public speaking is one and dying is two. So people would rather die than give a speech, right, in front of an audience.
Yeah.
But I've never been like that. I've always enjoyed public speaking since I was a kid. I've done speech contests and poetry contests ever since, I was 6, 7, 8 years old. So I've always enjoyed it. So I don't get to tell you well, you shouldn't find public speaking stressful simply because I like it. I don't have a right to do that, right? So my
Yes.
point is that it's a very unique emotion, and it's hard to describe. It's hard to describe when you're stressed. You just kind of know it. You just
Mhm.
kind of know when you're stressed. Am I right?
Yes.
Like if somebody asks you, well, what are you feeling? It's hard to say. Your response is just like, I don't know, I just feel stressed. Well, can you describe it? I mean, not really. I just feel stressed, right? So it's kind of a hard thing to put your finger on. And it's individualistic, right? Like I mentioned, people respond to it differently, they feel it differently, they behaviorally react to it differently, and physiologically too. So because it's such a unique emotion, um, people handle it in different ways. So there are different coping mechanisms that people practice when they're trying to battle stress. Some of them are adaptive and some of them are maladaptive, right? So an example of a maladaptive coping mechanism would be drinking alcohol
Mhm.
or doing drugs or becoming obsessed over what they eat.
Mhm.
Um, and there's other things. There's other things. There's skin picking disorder, hair picking disorder. There's all kinds of things that people try to artificially create control over their environment when they feel like they're in chaos. And so that's where I have found that exercise is really important. It's a very adaptive way of controlling stress because when you're stressed, one of the components of feeling stress is that you feel like it's uncontrollable. You have no
Mhm.
control over it. You're just stressed and you can't make it go away.
Mhm.
So, exercise, especially resistance training, especially weight training, it really artificially gives you a sense of control. So I know when I've gone through extremely stressful times in my life, I would go to the gym and I would just be like, okay, I can't control any of that. But you know what I can control? I can control this repetition right here. I can control the force at which I move this weight right now, or whether I do it or not, right? That's within my control. And that creation of this sense of control, it does that in itself lowers your stress response. Does that resonate, Nicole? You get
Yeah,
that?
yeah, it does. It goes. It's kind of my journey going from having an eating disorder and struggling with anorexia to being overweight and using food to medicate, and then getting my ass into the gym. I love to lift heavy things. I know
Yeah,
you're the same way. It's one of the things that we bond about, and so I never thought of it as a way of controlling my environment. But
right,
now that I was like, wow, I'm smarter than I think I am, because I went from a situation that I felt like I could control, that I was really out of control,
right,
into the gym where I can control, where it's actually like real, if that makes sense.
right. And
Yeah.
when you're on this journey, it also teaches you a lot of patience. It gives
Mhm.
you patience and perseverance, where it's like you're not going to get the result tomorrow, right?
Mm-mm.
You're going to have to, as much as possible, just stick with it, right? Just grind it out every day, and then you will see the result. And, the byproduct of that is this consistency, it builds up kind of this control equity. You build control equity where you're consistently having more control over things, and that translates to the rest of your life. It makes you feel better about the rest of your life because you're like, okay, like I can control some things.
Mhm.
Obviously, a lot of things are out of our control, but there are things that I can control, and it makes you feel better. And as a result, less stressed. So that's one of the reasons. So the other reason is is more physiological. So I'm not going to obviously read all of this. But so under stress response, There you what you see is sympathetic nervous system activation. So this is your stereotypical fight or flight response. So when you're stressed, you get sympathetically aroused.
Mhm.
And when sympathetic nervous system is activated, there are very specific physiological responses that happen. Your heart rate goes up, your blood pressure goes up, your pupils dilate. Why do you know why your pupils dilate, Nicole? When you're
I want to say that I learned this, but I can't say that I remember right now why.
so think of us as an animal,
Yeah,
right?
an
I tell this to
animal.
people. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I would think that it would help with being able to see. Um,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, you can see more. So I tell this to people all the time. It's like your body doesn't really have any intelligence. Your body doesn't have intelligence. Your brain does. So as far as your body concerned, you're like any other animal walking around out there. Your brain makes you human. That's the only thing that separates us is here, right? So when you're stressed, your pupils dilate. Because if I'm a zebra in the jungle and I'm walking around and I see something over there, I want to make sure that thing not going to come eat me. I don't
Mhm.
want to run for no reason either and waste energy. So I want to make sure that thing is actually a predator or not. So it's useful for my pupils to dilate and get in as much visual information as I can. So anyway, so you have, and then things happen like your bladder relaxes. It's not useful to store urine if you're running for your life,
Mhm.
right? A hallmark of people that are chronically stressed are stomach ulcers, digestive issues, things like IBS.
Mhm.
Because, again, if you're an animal and you're constantly stressed and you're constantly in fight or flight mode, all of this, digesting food, is a waste of energy because you are running for your life. You're about to be food yourself. So
Mhm.
why should you waste energy digesting your own food,
Mhm.
right? So you see a lot of gut problems in people that are chronically stressed. Stomach aches all the way up to stomach ulcers, IBS, and all kinds of stuff. And so sympathetic nervous system is the gas. That's the gas that's going to help you run or fight. And then you see parasympathetic recovery. So now you're an animal, you're running from a predator, you've escaped, you crawl under a tree, and now you got to be able to come back down. You got to be able to, like, okay, everything's fine. I escaped. Your heart rate has to be able to come back down. Your blood pressure has to come back down to what's called homeostasis or baseline. If you are not able to recover, that's going to cause problems for you because you cannot be chronically activated. You have to be able to come back down. So that's one thing that you see in people that are chronically stressed or like in PTSD patients. They're not able to come back down. They're chronically what's called hypervigilant,
Mhm.
chronically on edge, chronically ready to run or fight all the time, right?
Mhm.
And you can't live your life that way. You have to be able to come back down. So parasympathetic recovery is really important for you to be able to return to homeostasis. So that's one thing that exercise does for you. So if you're stressed, your brain is telling you that you're under threat. Get out, run, fight. So if you actually do run, or you actually do take out some aggression on some weights, you're giving your brain what it's craving. That's what it wants. Because again, your body not intelligent. It thinks you're under some kind of threat.
Mhm.
So once you run to actually do run or fight, then you can hit the gas. Then parasympathetic nervous system activates and you're able to come back down. So that's like a physiological explanation for why stress is an important factor or why exercise is an important factor in stress control. Does that make sense, Nicole?
Yes, it does. I love it.
Good.
And it looks like our audience is loving it too. We had a comment here. I'm not sure who it is, Facebook user, that's saying, I love this learning.
Oh,
So,
cool.
yeah.
Cool. Good. I'm glad. Okay, so let's talk about your brain specifically. So we kind of talked about physiology. So let's talk about your brain. So one thing that we're going to touch on here is in the top right. We're going to touch on neurogenesis, most specifically. So neurogenesis is the brain cell mitotic process. So mitosis is cell division. So your brain cells, your neurons, they form and then they divide and they move through your central nervous system. So you can actually measure neurogenesis. You can actually measure how many cells have divided and moved. So, for instance, there are animal studies, for example, where you will inject a dye. The dye gets incorporated into the DNA phase of neurons. You put the animal under a certain condition, like an exercise condition, and then you measure their neurogenesis and you see an increase in neurogenesis. So you see similar outcomes in humans. So this result is, if you think about it, is fairly remarkable. The fact that physically moving produces morphological, physical changes in your brain is quite a remarkable thing, right? And what you find is cognitive enhancement, increase in memory, increase in overall cognitive function, increase in focus, increase in creativity, better sleep. All of these things you get from physically moving. And again, if you just really stop and think about it, this is a remarkable thing. The fact that your brain actually changes when you move and when you exercise is it's pretty amazing. So here's an example. I kind of alluded to it. So these are mice. So a lot of this work is from a research lab led by Kemperman et al. And I believe this is from his study in 1998. So A there at the top. So these are controls. So what they do here is you're going to get mice, and the controls, they're just in a regular standard mouse housing. And in B, the mice are given access to running wheels. And so you're going to compare controls with the running wheel animals. And then here, so the orange, so the orange are fluorescent indicators of neurogenesis, the orange and red. And so what you find is if you compare here to here, you just see more fluorescent cells here, right?
Yes.
And actually you see in black and white here too. So this is an indication of more neuron growth, more neuron division, and more brain cell growth and spread. Right? This is simply from giving these mice access to running wheels versus not. And again, you see similar result in humans. The advantage here is that obviously you can cut them open before and after, and actually look at their brain tissue and see exactly what's going on. So again, this is some evidence that physical exercise changed their brains. And there's a lot of research like this where you look at memory performance and you see improved memory performance in exercise versus not. Okay, so this is like general exercise benefits on neurological function. Okay, now there's also this. So this is some human stuff. So this is looking at different forms of exercise. So this is in the journal Physiology and Behavior, which is a very good journal. So this is looking at HIIT training versus moderate continuous exercise. So this would be like you doing high intensity interval training versus moderate continuous jogging, for example. And they're going to look at if there's any difference between those. So what you find is, okay, so I'll explain this. So the top here, this is the HIIT training group, right? High intensity interval training. This is the HIIT training group. This MCE here is mild or moderate moderate continuous exercise. Okay, so you can see here, this is the general pattern of HIIT training. As you go up and down, you have bouts of intensity, right? You're going to go as hard as you can for 30 seconds, and then you're going to come back down to either rest or lower intensity, and then you're going to go back up. You HIIT train, right, Nicole? You kind of,
Yeah.
is that, am I describing it correct?
I've done it all. Yeah, it's very accurate.
Right. So you just kind of go up and down in terms of intensity. Okay, so they're going to HIIT train for 33 minutes. Right, they're going to rest, they're going to warm up. See that warm up there? They're going to warm up for 3 minutes. They're going to HIIT train for 33 minutes. Then they're going to recover for half hour. Okay, and then what you'll find is they're going to measure cognitive response during the recovery period. So they're going to they're going to give them a cognitive test when they're after they work out. Okay, and then you're going to compare that to this moderate continuous exercise, similar procedure. They're going to recover for a half hour. So if you notice here, this VO2, so this is VO2 max. So this is a fitness measurement of energy output. And so in the HIIT training, they're getting 60 and 90% of peak VO2. Here they're at kind of moderate 60% throughout the entire course of the exercise. Okay. Now, what they're actually going to measure here is performance on the Stroop test. Do you know what this is, Nicole?
I'm not sure though.
Okay. Well, you're about to do it.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm about to give you one. I hope this link works. You think it's going to work?
It's gonna work.
Okay, so I'll tell you the instructions because the instructions are not on the video.
Okay.
Your task is to tell me what color you see on the screen. That's it. Tell me what color you see. Okay?
Okay.
Is this being shared? Can you see this?
Yeah, it doesn't look like the link has started yet.
Can you see it? Can you see this?
I can see it, but the video, I can't see the video. I can just see
you
the
can't?
No.
Oh, so how do I show the video?
Not sure. Let me.
So, because it's a YouTube thing.
Yeah, I know that. Let's see.
Oh, maybe I should share the screen with the video. Hold on. I know what I'm going to do. So I'm going to share the screen with the video. Sorry, guys. Hold on.
We're good.
All right. So now I come here. Whoops. Okay, now I lost you. Oh, there. Okay.
And maybe while you're doing that, I can share that this is really resonating for me. I have had neurological Lyme disease. And because of that, having memory problems and a lot of things going on with my brain, it ate the myelin sheaths on my nerve endings as well. So it makes sense why my memory and my health has improved so much because I have done physical exercise throughout my recovery from Lyme. So this is really exciting stuff.
I cannot figure out how to share this.
Okay.
Like I open, hold on. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Okay. All right, now you can see it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so you are going to tell me what color you see on the screen.
Okay.
Sounds easy, right? Okay, wait. You're supposed to say it out loud.
Oh my gosh.
That's okay.
Okay.
It's okay. It's okay. Okay, so say them out loud. Like as each thing pops up, tell me what color you see.
Okay. Red, yellow, green, blue, yellow, red, blue, green, red, blue, green, yellow, blue, green. Why is this so hard? Red, yellow, blue, green, yellow, red, green, yellow, blue, red, green, blue, yellow, or green, green, red. Oh my gosh.
Right? It's so tell
My
me what
brain
you
is like,
experienced.
oh my
What did you
gosh.
experience when you did that?
I believe the words more than I believe like I'm reading the word. I believe that more than like
Right?
I
So
read
you're
I read
that's
faster than I'm understanding like the color. Like so I'm reading the word and yeah.
so that's why it's called Stroop interference. So you have to battle your own head. And the instructions are name the color. But when you see the word, your instinct is to just read the word.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not the instructions, it's to name the color. So that's why it's called an interference task, because you have to really kind of instantaneously battle yourself in your own head.
Yeah,
And
that was
so
happening.
what you find is that people that have impairment, or people that have TBI, traumatic brain injury, and stuff like that, their performance on this task is really challenging. Or people that have had strokes or dementia patients, they find this task extremely hard, right? So like, because you have to really very quickly sort this out in your head. And as you
Mm-hmm.
can see, it's not super easy. It's not super easy for me either, because your instinct is just to just react and read the word. So
Mm-hmm.
so anyway, so that's what they were measuring.
Yeah, and that's one of the things with recovering from Lyme with going to CrossFit. It's like you're doing these, it's like sensory overload. So you have like weights flying, music going, you have to remember and write down how many reps you did.
Right.
And it was just
Interesting. I never thought of it that way.
much for my brain. I was just like, it's hard enough for me to do the movements and be able to count them, but to have all the
Yeah.
chaos around me. And so it really got me present to where I was in my healing journey. It was like confronting,
Interesting.
like, yeah.
Interesting. I never thought about it that way. You're so right. There's so much going on that you have to focus on
Mhm.
simultaneously.
Yeah. And then
Yeah, that's
there
a great
you have
point.
coaches that are trying to tell you that you're doing the movements like wrong
Right.
or something. And I'm just like trying not to have it would put me into a like panic
Interesting.
anxiety attack. In the gym, not like that. It's like
Right.
I have my own music. I'm focused.
Right.
I just be in my own zone. So that
Right.
makes a lot of sense now that you've explained this to me.
While we're on the topic, here's a fun fact about me. I have never worn headphones at the gym. I can't do it. I can't wear headphones at the gym. I don't know why. I can't focus. Like if I get my own music in my ears, I'll just end up like singing and dancing and not working out.
That's part of the workout. That's part of my workout routine. And I don't care if there's people at the gym that are watching me, like West Side and I'm like singing like bow down and all these old ladies at the gym are like horrified and I'm like, oh, I forgot there's other people here.
Okay, so here's the result. Okay, so
Hold on,
the
let me
solid line here, that's moderate continuous exercise. I keep saying cognitive. Okay, moderate continuous exercise. The white circles is the HIIT training.
mhm.
And so This is the Stroop interference score. So a greater score means greater interference. So in other words, the greater interference you had, the worse you did. That's an indicator of poorer performance on what you just did. Okay, so what you find is, so this is post exercise, so these MCE people, they're doing worse compared to these HIIT training people. So what you just said is really interesting because HIIT training kind of the same. You have to deal with all this stuff going on simultaneously. You're not just jogging in a straight line. You are in listening to instructions, you're moving from station to station and all this stuff. So that probably plays a role in it. But this study also indicates that there's some benefit of interval training, of going in bouts of intensity. So this is why, like, I even coach my clients that are just jogging, mix in some interval training, even with on the treadmill, like go up and down, either manipulate the incline or manipulate the speed on the treadmill and go in intervals. There is benefit to just jogging, obviously, itself. But my advice is, and what I tell people is mix it up, right? Go maybe alternate. Go intervals one day and then just straight jog the next day if that's what you're doing is just so so in general, like mix in bouts of high intensity interval training. Does that make sense?
Yes, I love that. Well, that's my husband when he was cutting, he would do intervals on the treadmill and he dropped like way faster doing it that way. So
I will tell you, that okay, if this is any motivation, I got my 74-year-old mom interval training, and she's seeing a lot of benefit. So she's getting stronger, and at 74. Okay.
Yes, I
So
love
like,
it's never
and
too late. You're never too old. It's never like
right,
there's
right.
never enough.
And she was just really focused on walking straight all the time. Just she's gone for walks forever. But I
Yeah,
was like, okay, why don't you try and mix it up? Like go up and down.
I
And
love
she
that.
said she sees a lot of benefits from doing that. And and she said it's a lot less strenuous on her knees because
Mm.
she has like bouts of low intensity and then you go up and then you come back down. Whereas if you're moderate throughout the thing, it's a lot more strenuous at times on your limbs and stuff like that.
Love this.
Okay. And then so this is really interesting. So this is looking at high intensity interval training on BDNF. So BDNF is brain derived neurotropic factor. So brain derived neurotropic factor, without getting into the molecular biology of it, is basically the foundation of brain plasticity. So brain plasticity and neurogenesis is an indicator. It's a marker of plasticity. So plasticity is the ability of your brain to change and adapt and mold itself based on your experiences, for instance. So in other words, the higher BDNF levels you see, that is a biological indicator or marker of enhanced brain function. Okay, and so what you find is, so you got these HIIT training people compared to moderate continuous exercise, they have higher serum BDNF levels. So this is showing you that there's direct neurological benefit to at least mixing in intense training, interval training. So even if it's just walking, even if it's walking, now what I say mix it in. So I'm not saying just quit walking and quit jogging and just do HIIT training. I don't believe that's great either, right? Is you got to mix it up. Is what I'm saying making sense, Nicole?
Yeah, it is. It is. Well, because if you keep doing the same routine over and over, just like in the weight room, like
Yeah.
I change my routine up
Right.
every month, because your
Right.
body gets used to what it is that you're doing, and then you're not seeing the results. So this makes a
Right.
lot of sense to
Right.
mix it up.
Yep. Okay, and then this is looking at resistance training. So this is just pure resistance training, and this is cool because this is a meta-analysis. So a meta-analysis is a research methodology whereby you go out and you look at a body of research on a certain topic, and you kind of summarize statistically what all of these studies have said, and then you write your own paper on it. You write your own study on it. So a meta-analysis is an analysis of many analyses. Does that make sense?
Yes, it
Okay,
does.
that's what a meta-analysis is. So in this meta-analysis, what they found is that resistance training, it increased composite cognitive scores, measures of executive function. So that's like decision making, abstract thinking, problem solving, stuff like that, and some measures of working memory. Okay, so this is in humans, obviously. So this is showing that resistance training improves cognitive functioning, right? So again, like a lot of knowledge, common knowledge anyway, in this space, this fitness, when I say space, I mean this fitness space, is focused on how can I build muscle and
Mhm.
how can I lose fat? How can I tone this area? And so how can I lose, belly fat or whatever it might be. Those things are certainly important, but I think that, and this is what I tell my clients, is like go in with the mindset of I'm just trying to be healthy.
Mhm.
If I look good in the process, then so be it. But that should be like a cherry on top kind of side note,
Mhm.
right? Obviously, there's some vanity involved for me too, like obviously. But, I've really tried to focus on, though, that's just side note. I'm
Mhm.
just trying to be healthy. I'm just trying to be as healthy as I can for my daughter, for my family, for my friends, and all. And part of health and wellness is here. That's a big part of it. And so I'm here to tell you, and this is just not my opinion. I've shown you scientific evidence
Mhm.
that at different forms of exercise improves your brain function and improves cognitive performance. Okay, so here's your homework. Here's your homework, everybody. Okay, you're going to mix it up. So you're going to mix in interval training with continuous exercise, continuous moderate exercise, for instance. If you want to alternate days, that would be a great way to do it. Do not discount resistance training, not just in terms of burning fat or building muscle or whatever, but in terms of improving your brain function. In many areas, stress control, gaining patience, gaining emotional stability, as well as you've seen, just improving your brain. Okay, so I want to talk just 2 minutes about my program. I'm currently enrolling new members. So my program, as you imagine, as a neuroscientist and as a personal trainer, I've tried to combine all of these things to design a program for my clients that is that promotes holistic health, right? So there's physical fitness and nutrition component to it, which is certainly very important for both brain and body. I also really focus on mind nourishment, emotional stability, emotional brain training, gaining control over your life. You're driving the bus of your own life. You get to
Mhm.
decide who gets on and who doesn't because you're driving, that kind of thing. So this overall program. So please reach out to me. So this is kind of like a snapshot of what I believe of my program. So in the middle here, this is important. It's freedom, feeling free, feeling, and there's so many components that go into feeling free. Having energy, having strength. Think about what strength means. Strength means different things. You could be physically strong, you're mentally strong, you're emotionally strong, right? You're balanced. You're literally physically have better balance. You're balanced in your thoughts, right? Same with energy and all this stuff. So my program is a composite. It's bringing all of these things in together via different vehicles, right? Your food, coping with stress, knowing what to eat, knowing when to eat, resistance training, honoring yourself, emotional brain training. So there's all these different components that I will give to you. I'll give you the tools to do these things so that you can gain overall control of your life and live as healthy as you can while not making great sacrifice, right? So one of the things that I love to say is like, I'm still gonna have fun.
Mhm.
I'm still gonna go to parties. I'm still going to eat cake at my kid's birthday party. I'm still gonna do all of those things and get what I want. And it's possible. It is possible. Okay, and then here's some more of my clients here, and so I've been fortunate and blessed to have worked with a lot of people and helping them transform their lives, both physically, mentally, emotionally, and all this stuff. And I'll tell you, a couple guys on this screen here never went to a gym, didn't step foot into a gym. Everything was at home. Um, so if you go to my website, you can kind of see more of these testimonials. Okay, so here's some benefits of enrollment. You get personalized exercise, nutrition planning. You get exclusive life and empowerment coaching. There's emotional brain training. There's fitness demos, group challenges, mind and body nourishment, and talk about a lot of things like neuroscience of habit change and all kinds of stuff. We have a really nice, supportive group of guys. We do monthly group calls. We actually have our group call here in about 45 minutes and it's just a really supportive group of dads. So please come join. Okay, so yeah, I'm enrolling new members now. Hit me up on Instagram. Please visit my website. Here are my Facebook groups. So please come join and message me anytime. Okay, that's it. Thank you. Thanks, Nicole.
Thank you. See you next time, guys. Thanks, Shyam.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Nicole. See you guys.